Representative Matt Gaetz has decided to come clean about the real reason behind the impeachment of President Joe Biden. NBC reported that just days before he successfully booted Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker in the Gaetz rebellion, he dismissed the Republican impeachment inquiry into Biden as a pointless political stunt. To which I say, of course, and let me add,
oh my God, he admitted.
Now, of course, he did admit it publicly. It was behind the scenes during an invitation-only Zoom fundraiser, where he spoke alongside Representative Matt Rosendale, and one day prior to announcing a joint fundraising campaign with Rosendale. Here's what he said about the Biden impeachment. Quote, I don't believe that we're endeavoring upon a legitimate impeachment of Joe Biden. He added, they're trying to engage in the, forever war of impeachment. And like many of our forever wars, it will drag on forever and end in a bloody draw. He is 100% correct. Yes, that's exactly what that is. And of course, this forever war of impeachment is a way to try to, number one, placate Trump, who wants that, who called for this, who basically told them, you better impeach Joe Biden, because, revenge. So revenge is the number one. But the second thing is, as long as they're impeaching Joe Biden, they don't actually have to do anything else. They don't have to do, pass bills or do policies that's going to help the average person, the average Republican especially. Because think about that. The average Republican voter is not generally not rich, generally not wealthy. They're, a lot of working people that are Republicans. I still don't understand quite why. But they fall for, Republican lies, hook, line, and sinker. And they're very, very good at messaging the party is and attempting to get people, that are in the working class on their side. And they do it through, like I said, massive amounts of misinformation, casting the Democrats as the elitists, et cetera, et cetera. And so part of this is the distraction, because as long as they're distracted with high crimes and misdemeanors, Biden crime, family corruption, Ukraine Burisma, then they're not paying attention to whether or not Congress is actually doing anything to help, make their paychecks bigger or protect their, healthcare benefits or expand their healthcare benefits and things like that. At least that's what Republicans count on. And so there you are. There's another quote here. He said, I just don't get the sense that it's for the sake of impeachment. I think it's for the sake of having another bad thing to say about Joe Biden. And look, as a person who was on the left, I could say a few things that are not great about Joe Biden. I'm going to refrain from that. But certainly, from my perspective, I could say those things, and they would actually be honest. They would be honest critiques. Hey, taking corporate money, and not delivering or trying to deliver on the public option when it comes to healthcare. He hasn't talked about that at all. And so, those are legitimate critiques that you could bring up, right? And of course, alongside, those critiques, you could also say, well, he did good things like pull us out of Afghanistan. I thought that was a good decision to do, talking about forever wars. Well, what do you think Afghanistan was? It was a forever war, and he helped us get out of it. He honored the Trump, administration agreement to pull us out, and that's what happened. And so, credit where credit is due on that. He certainly could have continued our pointless war in Afghanistan, which which has been and would continue to be a disaster to this day. That said, right? Just doing impeachment for that reason is a terrible reason. At least the Democrats had reasons to try to impeach Donald Trump. One was January 6th, which is horrible, and it's one of the things that he is currently, facing, charges on for his, orchestration of things like the fake electors and trying to overturn the election. So that's a legitimate thing. And of course, there was also the pressure called in Ukraine, trying to withhold military aid for them to do an investigation into Joe Biden. So that said, all of this is, look, Matt Gaetz is I could say he's a broken clock, but I actually think that No, he's just, being honest to the donors. Because, again, they're always honest to their donors. They're not honest to the American people. And so when there's money on the line, when they're trying to court donors, of course they're going to admit what their true aims are. Yes, this is all political. And if we bog them down with that, then we're not going to be forced to do anything that's going to harm you negatively. Because, again, a lot of these people that are huge mega donors, they get rich by screwing over average people, by cutting their own taxes, while, leading to worse outcomes for working people, average people, preventing them from getting higher paychecks, preventing them from getting health care, child care, family, paid family leave. All these things that are incredibly popular that workers from across the spectrum would all benefit from. That's what the donors don't want. And so they love having this distraction, this impeachment nonsense when it comes to Joe Biden. So again, this is admitting what everyone has already known, except for Republican voters, sadly. Republicans, yes, impeaching Biden for political reasons. Yes, reasons which Gaetz had even admitted to agreeing with earlier. He said back in August that the point of the inquiry is simply to undermine Biden's credibility in the 2024 presidential election. Yes. So now Gaetz showing who he is, who Republicans really are, what they're doing, himself included. And by the way, during the same fundraiser that Gaetz was involved with, you had a mega bundler, January 6th bundler, Carolyn Wren, who had also told donors about a conversation where she had instructed a wealthy Republican patron to use a screenshot of a maximum campaign contribution in order to pressure a reluctant Gaetz ally. So understand what that means. This is basically saying, if you don't do what I want, I'm going to take away your bribe. Your legal bribe, yes, but it's still a bribe. Basically, do what I want or you're not getting the money. Quote, Congressman Gaetz and I been talking each night, and one night he called me and said, I'm a little worried that this person's wavering. I looked at their donor list and noticed a donor I knew had not given to her before. Wren said that when she called the donor to solicit a contribution to an unnamed congresswoman, the donor replied, yeah, I can't stand her. Yeah, I wonder if that's like Marjorie Greene or Boebert or something. She then asked, would you write a max donation to her, take a screenshot and text it to her to say, I'm only doing this because you're bravely standing up against the CR, which is to, the bill to fund the government. The congresswoman, Wren claimed, ended up siding with Matt Gaetz. She said, quote, please use your money and recognize it as a tool to go back to these people and say, I did this for a reason. If you don't continue holding the line, then I will cut off my funding. So understand, again, that's what this is. This is bribery. This is, saying if you don't do what I want, I'm gonna cut off the bribe. This is exactly, by the way, what a lot of Republicans and Democrats say. Republicans use, the swamp, right? Well, that's the swamp. That's a great example of the swamp. And of course, it's what the left points out correctly, that, it is corruption. That is corruption in our politics. This is why we have to get money out of politics. And yet, this is somebody who Gaetz tapped to help him raise money from, the swamp monsters, the ultra-wealthy conservative donors. Which is really funny for a man who claimed to be fueled by small donors. I mean, what exactly is a small donor to Matt Gaetz? And by the way, not just Matt Gaetz, but to all these politicians. 10,000, 100,000? Again, the reason that I bring it up is that he knows how this works. He knows how all of this works. Unlike all these politicians, they play pretty much everyone, right? And so, they play the voters and say one thing, and then behind the scenes, they tell the donors, the truth. Look, the rest of the Republican Party also takes gigantic donations, and yes, Democrats also take donations. And look, Republicans know in Congress that this impeachment attempt is just nothing but show. It's theater. That's it. And of course, the one group of people that, that don't actually know this, they're Republican voters. And they're the ones who continue to be suckers and rubes for these lying politicians, Matt Gaetz included. And again, remember, the only time that they're not lying is when they're talking to the people who pay them.